different weapons, whether it be an offhand and main hand. And the big thing about axes is it's a very high damage set. One of the cool skills that you can see on axes is the whirling axe. It allows you to move in a straight line and whirl at your opponents and deal tons of damage in an area.
Yeah, as you can see, we designed our combat to make it also very dynamic and very visual. So it's not just you see numbers popping up, but you also see like immediate visual feedback of what you're actually doing.
Another one of the big things that we do with our skills is they allow you to do a lot of movement. The skills will move you forward and backward and side to side, allowing you to be a very active combat, allowing you to be really into the game. Allows you to dodge attacks from the enemies, and the enemies can also leap at you and do a lot of interesting things with it. Here we have one of our cross-profession combos where an Ellie can put down a firewall and you can do whirling axe through it, which will send fireballs in all directions.
I think we're getting owned there.
Another big thing that the warrior can do is he can swap out his weapons on the fly. Swap out to a MEZ shield set. This makes it more durable, more powerful in taking on damage from enemies. This also gives him access to stuns, allowing him to swap in and out and make his own combos and unique combinations with the weapons, where he can swap to bows and rifles and other weapons at his disposal, allowing him to have a very interesting set of combinations depending on the two weapon sets that he brings to battle.
So the thing you see in the background, this is like one of our really big monsters. This is a dragon lieutenant, it's called the Shatterer. And he's like right in the middle of our world. We don't hide him in an instance or in a dungeon, so you can just stumble across him and fight him with all the other players. And I mean, look at the size of that beast, right? That's what we call a proper dragon. And just to make it clear, this is just a dragon lieutenant. Our elder dragons, they will be way bigger.
So here's a real good example of the warrior's diversity. He can swap out to his rifle, fight the dragon at range, or really quickly get into a melee fray with any of the monsters that are coming up in his face. This allowing to go back and forth between all the different ranges of combat allows him to do many different things in combat and give him a real active, fun feel. Big things about our combat system is we've set your first 5 skills from your weapons. This allows anything that you move around the world, environmental weapons, rocks, anything that you get your hands on to completely change out your skills, not just the weapons that you bring. So here we have siege equipment, a mortar that he picks up and he can fire it at the dragon, so you can shoot it at anything around, allowing you to be very interactable with your environment and do lots of damage or find anything around you and make improvised weapons and do damage to your enemies. Just one of the many ways that we allow you to swap out your skill bar. An elementalist can create magical conjured weapons on the ground, and you can pick them up and change out your skill bar, or you can throw a banner down on the ground as a warrior and pick that up and move it around the battlefield. These are just all sorts of ways that we really change out your skill bar and do many different things.
One thing in general, like, we will not have quests in Guild Wars 2. Our philosophy is we have a dynamic event system in the game, and all our events are scaling. It means they scale according to how many players are there, so we will always give you a nice challenge there.
And this really allows you to, no matter how many people are around, no matter what you're doing, you're always excited to see people. They're always helping you defeat enemies or overcoming large 500-foot monsters. It allows you to always be excited around anyone that you see. It's one of our large design goals of Guild Wars, that you're always happy to see anyone anytime you ever see them.
Here is one of the, you can briefly see like the cross-profession combo that Izzy was talking about, where the whirling axe was by passing through the flaming wall, was throwing fireballs in all directions.
These are just many of the ways that we want multiple characters to interact with each other, come up with interesting combos with themselves, and really make feel dynamic and interesting as you move through the world.
What you're seeing here is we are resing another player. So Izzy, would you talk a little bit about how death works and how we res people in the game?
So death is not as harsh as it is in other games in Guild Wars 2. When you die, you go into a down mode. You don't actually die, you have lots of skills that you can use to try to bring yourself back into the action. And also, anyone can come up and res you at any time. You don't have to have a skill on your bar or be a specific profession to do it. This allows combat to be a lot more powerful, moving, fast action, and more deadly. And allows you to get back into the fray really, really quickly at any moment, at any time.
Yeah, if our driver can quickly fake his death, because we can do that, then you will actually see what Izzy's talking about. There we go.
So here we go, we've gone into the down state. What you see is you have an unconscious meter. When that goes to 0, you will be what's called defeated and you can no longer use skills. Until then, you can fight back from the ground. You can't move, but you can do all sorts of attacks from the ground, and the warrior can even get himself back up with every last ounce of his breath and run around and attack for a few seconds before falling over. And here we have someone coming up and resing them, just one of the ways that you can help out your allies and move around the field. You can really quickly get back into the action. Going down is just not the end in Guild Wars 2.
One of the things you might notice when you look at the weapon that we are currently carrying, it's glowing blue, and that's because it's currently night. We have a day and night cycle in Guild Wars, and Izzy, there's something to this weapon set, right? It's not just that it changes appearance if it's depending on if it's night or day.
Yeah, the weapons normally just gain you life during the day, but at nighttime they switch over to life stealing. It's just kind of one of the ways that we've integrated the day and night cycle right into our item system, allowing the items to be really interesting and grab hold of just the day and night. They become more powerful at night.
And just keep an eye open. I always miss when they actually defeat or drive the dragon back.
These boss monsters don't just happen on timers like in other games. They can also come in at the end of big event chains or in all sorts of interesting ways through our event system. Our event system is very diverse and has all sorts of number of different combinations and different ways that we can present content. And this dragon just happens to be one of our big powerful monsters that we sped up with the demo so you can see it over and over again. But like the big swamp monster that you've seen before, that one comes in at the end of a big event chain that players get to experience and go through.
Okay, we now go to an area where we normally don't go to. I think it is the crystal area. We will find out soon. That's a good thing. It's all live, it's all dynamic. We have no clue what the guys upstairs are actually doing. So where are we? Izzy? Do you know where we are?
I didn't actually see which road to teleport to.
Oh, okay. This is the camp of the Turban Priory. Thanks, guys.
So one of the great things about the event system is no matter, you can come to a map over and over and over again, and it will always feel different because the different events can be running. You'll see different things that you've never seen before. It really allows you to experience the content over and over and over again and to not feel like the same boring quests over and over and over again.
That's a pretty big crystal there.
So in this particular area, the Gual have decided to worship this large crystal, and you're coming down to interact with them. There's many lesser races in Guild Wars that you can interact with, and one of the cool things about later on in the game is you get to decide which one of the lesser races that you really want to become familiar with, and be able to help through their way into the world of Tyria.
Oh, hey! As you can see here, when I was talking about visual combat, that cyclone you just saw on the side of the screen, oh there, that's actually another player. It's an elementalist skill that basically turns you into the cyclone. You can cause havoc.
It's an elite skill. Some of our really powerful skills that you can do will even transform your entire character into, say, a tornado or a plague. It'll allow you to move around the world and just do massive damage to everything around you. But they come at the cost of a really long cooldown, so you can only do it every once in a while. But it gets you out of really bad situations.
I just had a look at the time. We're out of time for this, so why don't we salute the crowd and then we wrap up the demo. There we go. We salute you. And that was our first presentation of the day. Hat's euch gefallen? Wunderbar. Wie gesagt, heute ist, thanks Easy. Big applause for Easy Kart Ride. Easy wird später auch wieder zurück sein. Wie gesagt, heute machen wir alles ein bisschen anders, weil es der letzte Tag ist und wir wollen auch ein bisschen Spaß haben. Das heißt, unsere Demos werden heute alle ein bisschen anders aussehen. And yeah, so we will mix it up today. All the demos will be in English. So, als nächstes, ich vergebe jetzt die Karten für das Gewinnspiel, das wir die